Hello, welcome back, everyone. I'm David with Ag Economic Insights, joining you for the chart of the week. This is a chart that we've been talking about over the last few weeks. We wrote an article about it, link in the description below. We also mentioned it in our recent acreage trends web event. You can find that recording in the link description below. But one of the things that we're keeping our eye on, one of the key insights that we had from 2025 is that the US corn and soybean factory expanded. Now, you know, a factory sometimes it comes in above capacity. Sometimes it comes out output is below stated capacity. And I think this factory analogy is really helpful for crops and corn and soybeans specifically, because sometimes we have prevent plant that means that we plant more than normal, or sometimes prevent plant is widespread. So we have fewer acres planted than expected. So that prevent plant tells us the factory come in at, above, or below sort of that normal capacity. So what do we have here in the chart? Well, in blue is actual acres planted. You can see that trended higher from 2007 up until 2012 to 15. There was a plateau, then another step up. And then, of course, we see a dip in 2019 and 2020 because of a lot of prevented planting, but we got some returns here. And we were hanging out at about 178 million acres, give or take. Now, the orange line is normalizing prevent plant, or taking into account prevent plant and getting a normalized estimate of what that factory size could be or should be. So you see there was that expansion from 2007 again up to 2013. We saw a little bit of a drawdown into 2015, then a big jump between 2015 and 17, and then we saw some bouncing around a little bit. But between 2019 and 2024, we had a factory size that averaged 178.2 million acres, pretty stable factory size. But take a look at the orange line of 2025. It's up more than 2 million acres at 180.3 million combined acres. There's a bit of a paradox here that comes up. And the idea here is, oh, corn and soybean outlook is bleak. Producers will plant less corn and soybean acres. But it's really more about what alternatives can producers plant. So if you think about corn and soybeans, you have to think about what are the alternatives. And a lot of times when you see that uptick between 2015 and 17, and then here in 2022 to 2025, producers are planting more corn and soybeans in in light of, despite the fact that they had lean returns, but it's often because the alternatives had even more lean outlooks. So we think about wheat and cotton, particularly, those outlooks look particularly bleak. And so producers are planting less of those crops, moving into corn and soybeans, and we see even more corn and soybean production coming online. Big implications as we think about 2026. Will we see this factory come back in at 180? We're going to keep an eye on wheat acreage. We'll keep an eye on cotton acreage, because those will be key indicators to think about how big this corn and soybean factory is. That's all the time we have for this week. Until next time, stay curious.